This is the Louie T Network.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to Lockdown Coverage, week number 7 in the National Football League. Dallas Cowboys, America's team, taking on the San Francisco 49ers. And what I thought would be a lot more competitive. I fully expected the Cowboys to win, but what I didn't expect was an all-out ass thrashing at the hands of this Cowboys football team. The 49ers never stood a chance. And I should have known this was a omen that should have foreshadowed what was to come. The 49ers get a 3-and-out. And I'm thinking, okay, these boys came ready to play. Reuben Foster's back in the lineup. Here we go. We about to have us a competitive ball game. And on the ensuing punt, Trent Taylor fumbles the goddamn football. Cowboys recover. And Zeke went in for a touchdown a couple plays thereafter. And they never looked back. And I should have known right then and there the ass whooping would ensue. And so I was watching this game with my dad, obviously massive Cowboys fan. And I'm telling him, 49ers, they start slow every week, but they always make a run in the second half. He said, well, not today. And he was right. They had no fight in them in this game. The Cowboys took every ounce of fight that they had out of them in the first half. And by the time the second half rolled around, the Cowboys poured it on thick to the tune of a 40-burger in this football game. Zeke Elliott absolutely tore them a new asshole in this game as he ran roughshod all over this 49ers defense that has had issues stopping the run this season, but had been better of late. Well, they were horrible in this game, deplorable even, as the Cowboys did whatever they wanted on the ground. Zeke Elliott was outstanding. Dak was good when he had to be, but he didn't really have to because Zeke was so good. They just ran the football down the throats of the 49ers. The 49ers couldn't get off the field on third downs. The Cowboys were killing them on third downs, continuing drives, matriculating the football down the field and getting into the end zone and just absolutely destroying any hope of a comeback in a close ball game. All of that talk of 5 straight, first NFL team to have 5 straight games of 3 points or less losses. This was a 30-point blowout, okay? And the Cowboys, they needed this. Coming off of a bye on the road, they had dropped 2 straight. They were 2-3 on the season. They needed to get back to 500. This is the perfect game for them coming off the bye to get back on track. And now they feel good going into their week 8 matchup with the Washington Redskins in the division. That's going to be a massive game, especially after whatever happens tonight, whether the Redskins win or lose. It's going to be a huge game in the NFC East either way. So they needed a game to get back on track. They got back on track. There's not really much more to say. This defense is better with Sean Lee in the lineup. He was back in the lineup. It makes a huge difference. They got after C.J. Beathard. He was a rookie quarterback. And they took it to him. He never stood a chance in this game. And they did a really good job of bottling up Carlos Hyde, who I actually thought had some good runs throughout this game. But he never was able to break off that huge run that could change this game. Too many turnovers. The pass rush for the Cowboys was outstanding. DeMarcus Lawrence and company, they were outstanding. He got to the quarterback. They forced fumbles. They got after Beathard. They dominated this game on both offense and defense. The only thing that they left this game in doubt about was the field goal kicking position. Jeff Heath had to finish the game as their kicker, doubling as a safety and a place kicker. The bigger story is Dan Bailey. Dangerous Dan Bailey, to me, the second best kicker, only behind just incredible Justin Tucker of Baltimore. He's the second best kicker, and they're neck and neck. It's 1A, 1B, really, when you think about how good these two have been over the years. And so how does that affect this Cowboys team? How long is he out? That's the big question. Is this a 4 to 6 week injury, or is it just a week to week thing and he'll be back shortly? If this is an injury that's going to last any amount of time, this could loom large for the Cowboys because they play in a lot of close ball games, and Dan Bailey is a big weapon for them from 52, 54, dare I say 56 yards at times. He can be a massive weapon for them. You take him out of the equation, it changes things potentially for this Cowboys football team. So stay tuned for that. But other than that, it was total domination from start to finish by this Cowboys football team as they destroy the San Francisco 49ers 40-10. You look at the 49ers side of things, and really what it amounts to here is that they're just not a good football team. They thought C.J. Beathard would provide a spark, and it just didn't happen in this game. Do you move on from C.J. Beathard? No. You continue to allow the young fella to play, gain experience, and you see what you have. He's probably not the guy moving forward. He's probably more of a backup, but at least you know you got a competent backup on your hands with C.J. Beathard. You allow him to continue to do the things that he's done, and you hope that he continues to grow and prosper in his role as quarterback. They're going to win a game eventually, and I told you that they're going to win a game, and when they do, it's going to be in the division when it does happen. And obviously, the Dallas Cowboys, not a divisional opponent, so I didn't expect it to be this week. And so I didn't expect them to get destroyed the way that they did. But in any event, it happened. And if you are the San Francisco 49ers, you just move on from this one and you figure out how to try to get the next one. Kyle Shanahan is desperate for a win. This team is desperate for a win. And they're going to get one eventually. But this just wasn't the game for that. They weren't going to win this game. The Cowboys weren't having it. You're going to have to stop the run better than you did in this game. You're going to have to give yourself a chance. You can't turn it over. You had ample opportunities to score and make this game close. And every time you had an opportunity, you did something stupid, whether it was a fumble getting hit, whether it was some kind of turnover. You made mistakes. You couldn't sustain drives. You would start out drives with a couple of good plays, get a couple of first downs, feel good, get the ball right around midfield, and then the drive would stall out. You'd have a penalty or you'd have a sack or some kind of negative play. You have to eliminate those if you're going to have a shot. This team is going to win eventually, and it's going to be in a division, like I said, but it just wasn't in the cards in Week 7. It's this 49ers team drops to 0-7 with a decisive ass whooping at the hands of the Cowboys, 40-10. Let's get to any comments that may be out there. Gregory Fuller says, do you think C.J. Beathard can be a good quarterback? I think he can be a good backup quarterback. I don't think he's an NFL starting quarterback. I think he can be serviceable for them in the rest of this season, give them some opportunities to win some games. He wasn't good yesterday. You lose your right tackle. You struggled along the offensive line. He was hit a ton in that ball game. And so you go back to the drawing board and you hope that you can play better than you did on Sunday and try to get yourself a win. J Cam Man 99 says, this whole Elliott situation is probably going to cost me a fantasy football championship. That being said, I predicted your Redskins to win Monday Night Football tonight. I hope they win as well. I predicted them to win as well. And that Ezekiel Elliott situation, I'll touch on that briefly. They need to go ahead and make a ruling and stick with it. He shouldn't be suspended, period. Okay, this whole investigation is garbage. It's nonsense. He shouldn't be suspended. They had an investigator interview the alleged ex-girlfriend, and she said, I wouldn't suspend Ezekiel Elliott for anything. This girl is incredible. Yes, he's a shady character himself, and no, he doesn't treat women the way that he should, but that doesn't mean he deserves to be suspended for 6 games. There's not enough evidence that suggests he should be. The NFL is on a witch hunt, and this just needs to be resolved. And I think this is the week we get some kind of resolution. Either he's going to play the rest of the season, because it's going to get appealed to a point where they're just like, okay, we won't hear the appeal until after the season, or he's going to be suspended. There will be no more appeals. He's done. He can't appeal anywhere else. He lost, and he's going to have to sit out these games. Something needs to happen. Resolution needs to happen, because this cloud hanging over this team, you see how much they need him and how much they value him. This cloud hanging over their head, I think it's going to really hurt them if he does ultimately get suspended. If he would have just served the suspension at the beginning of the season, and I know it's not a right, nothing about this says fair, and I don't blame him and the NFL Players Association for fighting this, but at the end of the day, it can hurt his team more than it can help them. If he would have just sat out the first 6 games of the season, he'd be back by now, and this whole thing would be done. And now, at the most critical juncture of the season, he may not be available for his football team. We'll see what happens. But in any event, he was available in this game. He was dominant in this game, helped his Cowboys run up the score 40-10 on the San Francisco 49ers, get back to 500 on the season at 3-3. Meanwhile, the 49ers can't buy a victory. They're now 0-7 under first-time head coach Kyle Shanahan. That's going to do it for your man Louie T here on Lockdown Coverage. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on the Louie T Network. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything in the National Football League. I'll see you. More Lockdown Coverage coming your way. I'll see you in a bit.